Hey, please subscribe. Thank you.
All right, y'all. So really quick, I just wanted to, we're on a lunch break. I just wanted to give you guys a little update. First of all, let me just say, people were asking, the minute I walked out of court, people were asking me, what's the feeling in there? Like, what's the temperament in the court? The last, I would say, in the beginning of court, so the first few hours, it feels like Diddy about to get the book thrown at him, if I'm being honest with y'all. Like, I think, there's a lot of things to take into consideration here. I think the fact that the judge says, hey, even though he was acquitted of, all those things that relate to that RICO and everything that he didn't get hit with charge-wise, that didn't stick, you can consider that when having a conversation about certain things moving forward, as we're talking about sentencing, because the judge's point was we wouldn't have ended up here at prostitution if it wasn't for certain things that had to do with some of the charges he was acquitted. Point being, they talked a lot about the force, the coercion, the fear that they, are saying that Diddy and put into these women and put into Jane and put into Cassie, which made them do things that they did not want to do. The judge specifically mentioned Diddy threatening to not pay for Jane's home where her kids stayed. The judge mentioned Diddy texting Cassie and threatening to leak sex tapes. All things that there were hard evidence of, even though those charges did not stick, right? So the minute you hear that, because what they're having a conversation about right now is like it's the guidelines, the sentencing guidelines, and what can you lean on or what is the court going to lean on, and what is the court allowed to lean on? And they're taking it from both sides. They're looking at, here's what the prosecution is asking for us to consider, to think about. Here's what Diddy's team is asking us to consider and think about, and here's everything that each side is saying we don't want you to consider or think about, right? But then at the same time, right, you have, Diddy's team who gets up there, and Nicole Westmoreland broke down in tears. His attorney, Nicole Westmoreland, broke down in tears. And people are always like, why you refer to her as the black woman attorney? And here I'm going to do so because I feel like it's important to do so, right? And I'll explain why. So Nicole Westmoreland she's a black woman attorney from Atlanta. It's also been, a thing and a conversation about the fact that she is a sexual violent or sexual assault survivor, right? She broke down in tears talking about what Diddy means to his family, to the black community, the strides that he's made as like the first black man to do several different things, and just how he's used all of his power, all of his fame to help people. He is not a person that has just disregarded people in the way the prosecution wants you to believe. But here's the thing, before Westmoreland got up there and began to cry, and I think, and the reason why I brought up the fact that she's a black woman on the team doing so is because none of the white attorneys could have did that. For me, in my opinion, I understood why she was doing it, but I felt like after the hours of, it was so clear, in my opinion, that the judge, he doesn't believe that Diddy is as remorseful as he should be. The judge specifically pointed out, because Diddy was asking, for sentencing to be taken easy on him because he has been remorseful to the court. Now, he's asking several different things, but that was one of them, right? I'll get more into that later. But the judge is like, look, you've been remorseful and you've apologized for things. You haven't even, and you've admitted to things, yes, but you haven't yet to even admit to what you were actually convicted of, which was the prostitution charges. Nor have you apologized for that. So no, I'm not going to say, oh my God, he's so remorseful to the court, I want to make sure we take this light. No. And while the judge is talking about what they're able to use, and these attorneys are like, Brian Still's head was in his hands, his face was in his hands, like in disbelief almost. You had two of Diddy's attorneys stand up, Shapiro and Teeny Garrico, stand up and talk about how being able to use anything he was acquitted of, how harshly that's going to impact his sentencing. The judge used the word, it would be non-consequential because you can only use it when having conversation around how we arrived to the actual things he was charged with, right? Which honestly, in my opinion, I'm like, there's no way that you only use it for certain things. And this is those things that you're talking about when it comes to force, coercion, the beating of the women, that all speaks to character. It's hard to not consider that when you're making a determination on sentencing. And Teeny Garrickos made a good point. She said, hey, I just want to put on record, you said the word non-consequential. Can we please discuss, like, yes, it is. And the judge corrected himself. He said, my bad if that's the word I use, but I want to be specific when I say, here is how I imply for for us as the court to be able to use anything he was acquitted of in sentencing. And the way that I am thinking about this, and the way that it should be set up based on previous case law, is not when it comes to the conversation of sentencing guidelines, but solely to understand how we arrived here. And the reason why I keep saying that is because the judge is arguing, and the court is believing that in order for Diddy to be convicted of prostitution charges, he had to be able to coerce the women. He had to be able to put fear in the women. He had to be able to, all of the things, run an enterprise where people protected what he was doing, and there's multiple people involved. And it's obvious that they're setting up, Diddy seeing lines for an appeal, because Shapiro began to speak to that. But man, when kids got up there, because now you have Nicole Westmoreland, she's crying, and in temperature, I'm telling y'all, going into this, it's like, oh, they about to throw the book at him. They're not buying that this man, it was an addict who made mistakes. They're not buying it. They're not buying the downplaying of the decision to beat Cassie up and down the hallway as, a dark moment in time that he's now rehabilitated himself from. And it was obvious that the court was not buying it. Nicole Westmoreland gets up there, she's crying, she's talking about the impact on the black community as a black woman, what it means to her, how she saw Diddy speak in DC, and how it moved her, and all these things. I think she was really trying to make the judge understand how much of a vessel Diddy is. He's better outside of a jail than inside, was her ending point. Then the kids get up and speak. I cried, y'all. Like, I was like, oh my God. And it wasn't because I feel bad for Diddy. I think a lot of the decisions that he's made has ended him up here. I wish him the best, though. But it was more so about, these kids did not choose this. Like, they did not. They did not choose to be in this situation. They did not choose a life that would end them up in this courtroom, crying in front of all these people, all the headlines, one of the Combs twins said, please, like, she was begging the judge, sobbing, crying, begging the judge, please allow us the opportunity to heal as a family and not as a headline. Christian was the first. Hey, how you doing? Christian was the first of, Quincy spoke first, then Justin, then Christian. But Christian was the most emotional. He was emotional first. So he talked about, everybody knows Christian and Diddy's relationship. Diddy has a relationship with all of his kids, but Christian is like the guy's twin, you know what I mean? So he talked about, understanding and feeling his dad differently than even potentially some of his siblings, and knowing that his dad has changed over time because of conversations. But when the girls begin to speak, man, Diddy's hands dropped into his head. He couldn't even, he was watching them. He had to turn away at some points. Like, it was really tough. Like, it was hard. I was crying. People sitting next to me were crying. I'm looking in the courtroom on the monitor. Diddy's breaking down. You got people. I still saw Misa Hilton crying, who's Justin Combs' mom. Like, then they played this video that shows all of his family interactions and these moments. Diddy couldn't even watch the video. And the craziest thing about all of this is, so the day we were on break for lunch, going into lunch, it ended emotionally heavy. Before that, it was very much, the court is giving no remorse to Diddy. And the whole time I kept thinking two things. These kids did not ask for this, and I feel so bad for them. And another thing I thought of is, Diddy's ego and his addiction is what ended us up here. And I wish and I hope that when he speaks, he readjusts whatever he had planned, because it is very obvious that the judge is not, he don't feel remorse from Diddy. And I think what would be most impactful to hear from Diddy today before court ends is, he was an addict, and what that really means. Because I think people are removing that too, because obviously, because you saw a woman be beat on camera, so you don't sympathize with a woman abuser, and you shouldn't. But I think that there is something to, I'm remorseful, but not only am I remorseful, now I understand exactly what is fucked up to be able to begin to fix it. Do I think that the judge feels like the amount of time that he has been locked up is enough time to just let him walk free with supervised release? Hell no. I don't think that. I don't think that the judge is, right now, as of court is a little bit after 1 p.m., the sentencing of Sean Diddy Combs, I don't see a judge taking it easy on him whatsoever. This is the latest with Loren Lorosa. I'll be back at the end of court to give you guys, some talk on whatever happens. I'll see you guys soon.